Good morning, Tammi Van Hollander. How are you?
Good morning, Janet. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. Thank you for coming in to talk about our play therapy conference that's coming up in September of this year. Las Vegas Play Therapy presents What About the Children?
I
So
am
happy to
very
be our,
excited.
I'm so excited for you to be our opening keynote speaker. So you are in Pennsylvania, right?
I am. I'm in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so we're on definitely a different time zone this morning. Tell me about where you live. I've never been to Philadelphia area.
Philadelphia is a great city. I'm very close. I'm about 2 hours from Washington and from New York City. So I'm kind of near it all. Yeah, I've been in Philly most of my life. So it's
Yeah.
nice. I'm really looking forward to coming to Las Vegas. I have never been. It's been on my bucket list, and I actually have some family there as well. So I'm really looking forward to, yeah, to September's event.
That's very exciting. I've been here my whole life. I was born and raised here, so it's kind of I'm an oddity in the Vegas community, but I love living here and I love the weather. We never get snow, so it's pretty fantastic. And in September, we're at the end of our big heat wave and falling into fall, so it'll be nice when you're here. We have asked you to be our opening keynote speaker for our Las Vegas Play Therapy conference, and I'm just curious if you can tell us what you plan to speak on and why you chose that topic.
Yeah. Well, I really had to be thinking about just the different pieces. And, the title of your conference is What About the Children? And so the title of mine, I believe it's that it's creating safety pillars in an unpredictable world. And I just thought how timely in terms of us talking about what about the children. And in general, our world has been unpredictable, but as we know from pandemic on, and that so much of as therapists, as parents, as adults, right, that our own nervous systems are so affected and affecting the children, and that how hard it is for all of us to be able to reset and to be recognized the importance of co-regulation, the importance of creating some type of safety pillars when our world doesn't often feel so safe. So I'm hoping
Yes.
to be able to create that, whether, we're talking a little bit in terms of sand tray. One of my things is bibliotherapy, play therapy, and just we know the beauty of play and the beauty of sand is so much in terms of creating that safe psychological distance and creating that safety in the mind and body. And how can we hold that right in our brains, in our hearts, in our bodies to be able to build more resilient children, more resilient adults, and just it's hard being I think so much of it is really about how are we being space holders for for our children and the families that we work with.
Yes. Yes. And how are we anchoring into our own safety as well? Because we,
Yes.
as therapists, we're not, machines. We do become dysregulated as well. So how do we anchor into our own safety?
Exactly, exactly, and it's super hard. As therapists,
Yes.
we hold, right, vicarious trauma, we're holding on to
Mhm.
trauma and pieces all the time, and how are we getting our own self-care and being
Yes.
able, right, if we don't put the oxygen masks on ourselves, then we
Right.
certainly
Yeah.
cannot help our families. I often talk about in my sand tray trainings of just this idea of as therapists, we're like that coxswain on the boat that we're on the side
Mhm.
and we're kind of shifting and
Yeah.
giving some energy of left and right. But we all know as therapists that if we are the ones that are rowing the boat and doing all the work for the children and our families, if we stop rowing, the boat will sink.
Right. And we're exhausted.
And we're exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's like, really, how are we able to have some self-preservation of
Mhm.
our own amount of energy? Because sometimes there's cases that we put so much energy in, and I talk about this all the time in my play therapy supervision and my sand tray supervision, is that we have to reserve that energy because it's just a vicious cycle where the clients aren't getting help. We're exhausted, and and how do we create that bridge and that space in between where we're there, we're part of their journey, we're holding that space, but we're not in the boat and doing all that paddling.
That they learned how to pick their own oar and paddle also.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
resilience is what you're talking about. If we can
I
I think
am. I am
everyone's got,
talking
yeah,
about yeah, yeah.
love that.
I just last week was keynoting at the Michigan
Mhm.
APT conference, and the first one was on sand tray, and the second one was on building resiliency in
Mhm.
the sand tray. And I'm an advanced nurtured heart approach trainer, and really so much of those pieces is creating resiliency, creating I can kids, creating I can
Yeah.
therapists, I can families that we it's so hard when there's so many obstacles that are pushing us down to just spiral into this negative thinking
Yeah.
and kind of go right onto that slide and being able to reset and recognize how many strengths we have and that we have more strengths in community. And that's why it's so exciting
Yes.
that you are that you and Lynn are creating this resources, creating this community. I mean, I was so excited with the invitation, and I was so excited with the lineup of so many
It's a big
therapists
deal.
that
Yeah.
that I just adore and look up to, and that if I was kind of looking for an ideal lineup of therapists that I want to learn from and that are just going to fill my bucket in so many different ways. You just have
Yes.
such a wonderful, genuine, authentic group of people. So I was just super excited about that aspect
I'm
too.
so happy to hear you say that because I really was cultivating that feeling like who would fit on this list of people that I'd want to hear from. And definitely you are on there. Marshall Lyles is on there, Felicia Carroll, who's my mentor. You're the three keynote speakers. And I got to hear you speak in St. Louis and you talked about the invisible string, that presentation. I love that. And I remember afterwards you and another therapist had been out playing and I saw you just covered in, was it paint maybe? I can't remember
Yes.
what you were doing. And I have that picture somewhere in my drive and I was like, oh, look how fun Tammy is. I'm so excited to get
uh,
to know you a little bit
yeah.
better and have you come to my hometown and
Oh,
speak and share.
that's so nice. That was a super fun thing. Jessica Stone
Was.
actually
Yes.
organized that for the paint event. It was for the whole all
Hmm.
the digital play therapy peeps,
Yes.
and that was super fun. After being trained in digital play therapy, never thought that I would be doing virtual reality and doing those type of
No.
things in my
That
office.
weekend, I do remember walking by a room and you were all in there doing the virtual thing and just swinging and doing things. I'm like, what's happening in there? It just
So
got me
fun.
really curious about virtual reality stuff, which makes me dizzy.
Yeah, yeah, super fun. So yeah, I've
Yeah,
certainly added that. I add that to my play therapy as well as like my own exercise routine I do in
love
the
it.
VR. So
Yeah.
never would I think I would do something like that. But yeah, yet again, it creates that safe psychological distance and that
Yes.
full immersion. And through my training with Dr. Jessica Stone, really going through all the different therapeutic powers of play
Mhm.
that are so beneficial within that.
Love that. So there's lots of people in the Vegas community. I don't know if you know this, but I'm the only registered play therapist supervisor in private practice in all of Las Vegas.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that our community who work with children will come out and support this conference and learn some new ways of working with kids. And I can't think of a better way to learn than a play therapy conference. We love them so much. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be a play therapist for those that don't know you.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I started out in social work. I was doing foster care,
Mhm.
residential homes, and I was an inpatient psychiatric clinician, and that was quite an experience working within
Had a
there.
stint at that as well. Yes,
Yeah.
it is an experience.
And just, seeing so many kids who've experienced so much trauma and
Mhm.
not having the tools and being given, I spoke about this a little bit. I did a TEDx talk on Sand Tray in October, and
Mhm.
just how we are given so many. behavioral charts and behavioral plans and sticker charts, and
Yeah.
just recognizing that these kids are
Mm,
just getting worse. And, I
mhm.
often think about this in my own supervision, which probably, Janet, you do too, that going back, like if you knew the information you have now
Yes.
and being
Yes.
able to go back, I always am thinking about, "Ah, if I could go back, if I could go back and heal every one of those kids
Mhm.
and do things differently, I would."
Right.
But the one thing that I do know that was always consistent in terms of the work that I did with those kids, although I didn't know about the nervous system and everything happening in the brain and the trauma piece, I was able to develop that trusting relationship, because that's part
Yes.
of the love I have for kids and being able to create those relationships. And we know that it takes that one trusting relationship that can change the
Yes.
brain, that could
Yes.
change the trajectory on that child's life. So even without having all the other knowledge that I do now, I do believe that there are those kids that I know they've changed me.
Right.
Uh,
Yes. I carry
and
them with me still. Yes.
yeah, and I think about that part so often, and I think that
Mhm.
in the world, for many of us, as we get older and we present and we travel and we do more of the private practice, the kids who are really needing it the most are in
Mhm.
agency work and are in
Yes.
work where there's therapists who may not be there forever, right? They're there and then they
Yes.
move on. So how are we being able to really create these authentic relationships when
Yes.
we have these moments with our
Yes.
client?
It reminds me of the quote, the relationship is the therapy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where you start.
absolutely. Yeah,
You have to be able to
yeah.
build that. Awesome. I love that.
Exactly. So I've
Thank you
really
for
like
sharing.
started off in that social work field, and
Yeah.
then really wanting to go deeper, doing, and play
Mhm.
therapy. I have been promoting and teaching play
Yes.
therapy for over 25 years. Sand tray is really my passion. And guess was it 2020 when we had started the World
Mhm.
Association for Sand Therapy
Yes. I
Professionals?
am a member. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the
So
first virtual training you did in my little office with my mask on, so we couldn't even have a mask off by ourselves in our office in the building where I was, and it just was impactful. Dragging all my sand tray to my little desk area, and it was great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, so those are a little bit about me in terms of, that my private practice work, really, I look at everything through an attachment-based lens. I'm really,
Mhm.
I am more an integrative therapist, but my training was at the Family and Play Therapy Center in Philadelphia. So I was
Mhm.
trained very much in client-centered, and for many years I was a very strict client-centered play therapist. And as the years progressed, I really took a more integrative approach. I feel that
Mhm.
that I it's funny because Marshall, who I know you interviewed and who we'll be talking about, I'll often say to Marshall, in terms of Sandtray and these prompts, they feel so directive. And he's like, they're not directive, they're just invitations. And I feel like when I am doing the client-centered work with my clients, literally whatever's coming up, it's an invitation in terms of this book. It's an
Yes.
invitation, and they'll either take it or leave it. And I find that so often they take it because it's where their nervous system is, and it's expanding it in
Right.
terms of a way that is just expanding within the play rather than
Mhm.
changing their play or doing something behavioralistic
Right.
and trying to get something that we need to hear or we think that the parents need to hear because we have a parent
Right.
session coming up, and it's like, oh, we
We
need to
have to
get
say
all these
something.
things on the list, right?
Yeah.
And being able to just trust that process. And,
Mhm.
Janet, more than anything, trusting the process and the power of
Oh,
play.
everything.
That's
Yes.
that's the healing. It's the healing
Mhm.
of being with them. And we can't play in the past. We can't play in the future. And it's just this beauty of the here and now. And when we are deep in the play with those kids, it's like you just get goosebumps. And what a
I
privilege and
do.
honor to do this
Yes.
work.
I love everything you said. And I had somebody say to me recently, trust the process, and the process is always trustworthy.
Ah, I love that.
And that just impacted me. I'm like, yeah, even when I'm like, is this really the process? It is. Whatever the it. is happening in the sand
Yeah,
and in the play.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think it's exciting that I feel like play therapy, now that we're learning more about the nervous system and more
Yes.
about the brain, and so many of these larger parenting books and things that are coming out, people are
Hmm.
finally like getting it. They're shifting, even
Right.
within the autistic community, of
Hmm.
really looking at the importance of
Right.
neurobiology, the importance of co-regulation, and steering more away from the behavioral plans that have been in place and the
Yes.
money that has been in place for that. I feel like finally it's time that the spotlight is really shining on us and some of these expressive therapies
Hmm.
to really being so much
Yeah.
more significant.
In a whole bodied way, not just a, here's your sticker because you made a
Yes.
good decision, right? Yes, I love that. Well, I have some rapid fire questions. It's my
Okay.
favorite part of our interviews. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm gonna
Don't be
try my
nervous. It'll be
best.
okay. Okay. What is your favorite rainy day activity?
Cuddling up on the sofa and watching movies.
Awesome. What is your go-to lazy dinner?
Go to lazy dinner.
It's just easy.
Um, okay. Probably throw it in a frozen pizza.
Love it. What movie could you quote all day long?
Gosh, that's a hard one. I'm not a quoter, but I am a
Mm,
huge Encanto fan.
love that. I do love
I've
that.
seen it 3
Um,
times. I love Encanto and I love the music.
that's great. What would your superpower be if
Oh,
you had one? Well, you do have play,
it's
but what
funny.
would it
I
be?
do superhero gadgets all the
Hmm.
time, but I think that I could give like an answer, a therapeutic answer, and but flying, I've always wanted to fly and just
Yes.
be weightless and
Mhm.
soar and go anywhere,
Freedom,
and
right?
just having this freedom, because I often feel this weightness, and in terms of just the world and these pieces and just
Mhm.
being able. So I think that's really actually a very not selfish, self-care piece of just being able to have the ability to just take a little flight, then come back and reset and do the work that I need to do. And if the question was in superhero gadgets, it's would you share this with others, or and
Mm,
I would love to have that flying power or that magic carpet ride, and just be able to fly with my clients and fly with my friends, and just being able to do it also alone in some ways, and other times just doing it playfully with others in community would
yeah,
be fun.
last one. Cannonball into the pool or dip a toe in first?
Repeat that one.
Cannonball into the pool or dip your toe in first?
Oh, I wanna say cannonball into the pool, but I think I would tip my toe in first.
To
My
make sure
goal
it's
would
not too
be
cold.
I think my goal would be to just jump in and almost like ripping off
Hmm.
the Band-Aid, but most likely, I probably will be the one to first, put my toe in.
So, well, Tammy, it has been fantastic sharing this time with you this morning. And I just want to share with the listeners that they can register for the Las Vegas Play Therapy. What about the Children's Symposium at www.lasvegasplaytherapy.com. It's September 26th to the 29th in beautiful Las Vegas. And we will have our early bird registration up through April. So take a look and come out and play.
Great, okay, yeah, I hope to see everybody in Las Vegas.
Okay, thanks so much, Ken.
You're welcome, thank you.